What's going on, guys? It's NW Gene of NW Gene Knife Works, and today I thought I'd make a video on my drilling fixture for knives with tapered tangs. Now, I decided to make this video after a video that Berg Knife Making of DIYeasycrafts did recently, where he did a tapered tang on his knife, but I wanted to show kind of an easier way to drill the pinholes on the scales without having to grind any special angles. So what I do is I take this jig here, which, as you can see, is just made of plain aluminum for the jaws. I might have used something a little thinner, or thicker for the jaws so they wouldn't bend as much, but this 1/8 inch stock from Home Depot works just fine. And then I've got the steel base plate. I've just welded a couple of bolts, made sure they were sticking straight up 90 degrees with a nice right angle. The taper stops right about here on the beak here, so you want to be sure that you're clamping where the knife is actually flat and not tapered. That way everything stays at 90 degrees when you drill the pinholes. So you don't want to over tighten the bolts too much one way or the other. I imagine this would work better if you had thicker jaws on the vise here. But basically, once the knife is secured here, you can see that now we've got the flat of the blade being held at 90 degrees or parallel, and ignore the bent base here. We've got the blade sitting parallel, and the tapered tang is kind of forced to sit straight, if that makes sense. So then we have our scale here, which is nice and flattened out on the belt grinder. All we have to do, and there would normally be a bolster here, so ignore the fact that it doesn't cover the whole tang. Take your scale like this, and you'll just clamp it up here. Now this happens to fit pretty well, but you see there's a small gap there. You'll want to put some support in there so that when the drill press comes down it avoids flex. If you hear that, that's the clamp hitting the base from how it can flex. You just want to make sure that it won't flex when the drill press hits it, because then you'll mess up the pinholes. But you can see how the jig just keeps everything nice and straight. So let me go ahead and show you how I clamp up the bolsters. I actually use clamps like this as opposed to the C-clamp, because with this bolster material I'm not worried about crushing the handle material or making dents. Even this ironwood would dent pretty easily if I had these clamps on there. So I'm going to put the knife in the vise, making sure that it's holding it by the flats of the blade. Set the bolster where you want it according to the end. And it works much the same. Now, just like I said before, and you see it here, where there's a lot bigger of a gap, you'll need to put something under here to support the blade so that it doesn't flex real bad when the drill press comes down. Otherwise the holes won't drill straight. But even though there's a slight taper to the whole thing, it ends up being less than a degree or two on the whole taper. As long as you use this jig, you'll have it all taken care of and you won't have to grind any special angles or do any special math, because the jig just takes care of all of it for you. That's pretty much it. Thanks for watching.